Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here with Julien from Benighted today, and you look a lot better. For those that don't know, you've been diagnosed with COVID-19 a couple of weeks ago, and but you look like you got your color back. You look much better today.
Yeah, I feel way better than the couple of weeks I've just been through, because it was I think I've never been that sick in my life, with such a high fever and a headache like I never got in my life, lung infection, and worse of that, I lost the sense of taste and smell. And for someone who likes to eat like me, it's a catastrophe.
No, but the big question that I'm sure is on everybody's mind right now is: did you have enough toilet paper for this time that you were home?
Yeah, fortunately, yeah. And I still have some, so it's okay.
Because I don't know about in France, but here the whole toilet paper thing was a disaster. People like just bought every single toilet paper available at the store. You couldn't find toilet paper for like weeks.
Yeah, it's apparently the new gold. So everyone is running after it. But so far, I don't had I didn't face any trouble with toilet paper lack. So it's okay.
Let's talk about the album, Obscene Repressed. It just came out a couple of weeks ago on Season of Mist, April 10th, actually. Give me a little bit of the background into the concept of this album, because the story, I know you're the one that came up with this story, so can you take me a little bit through the journey of putting the story together? Because this is a really messed up story. Like it really boggled my mind.
Well, yeah, every time I have to write a story, I start from a patient that I met at my work, and this album is no exception for that. And I thought about one of my patients who had a very severe form of cleft palate, and was delusional about the fact that when he was smoking, the smoke could go directly to his brain because of a hole in his mouth, and the smoke gave him orders and show him some cards, people to kill or something like that. And I mean, he was totally harmless. He's a very, very nice guy, but the ideas came to him like that. So I just mix it up a bit with the story of a boy with multiple issues with his mom, and here's born the story. I mixed everything, like when I write something, I want everything to be very coherent, and very close to the reality of the symptoms of psychosis. So when I wrote this story, I paid attention that it will be realistic in the symptomatology of the pathology of the child. So yeah, that's how it's born, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the part where he cuts it and then he cooks it and he feeds it to his mother in a meal, that was something straight out of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, but it just came from my stupid mind, actually. But the thing is that even at some point, the sexual Oedipal thing is to go back inside mom, feel secure and protected inside mom again. And as his mother really hated this part of his face, for him it was very symbolic to go back inside mom with the most disgusting part of his body that she finds the most disgusting. And he made his point because he finally succeeded going back inside mom again.
I honestly, like, as I'm listening to the album and I'm going through this story, I'm like, holy crap! I don't think, like, it takes a very special mind to come up with that. But having the the background that you have, the job that you do, it allows you to interact with people that have weird minds. So do you sometimes feel like you're going a little bit insane because of the people around of you not being 100% sane?
I think none of us is really sane, but the thing is that you can play with the sick part of yourself and keep it under control. So that's what I do. I've always been a very huge fan of horror movies and things like that, and I think psychiatry, like horror movies, fascinates me a lot, and makes me probably it answers to some fears I've got. I have to check it. I have to do an insight to check exactly what fascinates me in that. But yeah, I think it's some kind of catharsis, you know, like all the negative energy I've got, I put it in this, I will say, positive in a large meaning, you know, positive, I mean something that doesn't hurt people, you know, and I put it in with disgusting stories, and I try to make them original, because I really don't like the giant cliche about psychiatry and schizophrenia in the horror movies most of the times. For example, a movie like Split, for me, it's a scandal that you can say that this kind of movie is inspired from true cases. For me, it's a scandal, and I really hate the fact that movies want to make schizophrenic people look like that. But yeah, the message I've got with the patients, for example, when the patient asks me, "Hey, Julien, but in your albums, you're talking sometimes about pathologies or about stories that are close to ours," and I say, "Yeah, but in every Benighted album, you will see that there is not one single time where a sick character hurts anyone but himself." So the message in Benighted would be that the schizophrenic people are very vulnerable, the most vulnerable people in the world, and very dangerous for themselves before being dangerous for the others.
I also felt that listening to the record, as far as the character and the story is concerned, I don't feel like that there's also a pointing of the finger. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you come from a place where you're saying that you're bad and you're pointing the finger and you're pushing them down. You're just telling the story from the character's perspective, and then it's up to the person listening to it to really interpret it as they wish. But you're not doing it from a negative perspective.
No. I actually I feel a lot of empathy for this character. When I imagine that his story can be true, I feel very empathic for him, and it's terrible what happens to him. But the fact is that when when you made the review about Obscene Repressed, I was super happy that you were aware of the story before, because I think it's really a good condition to listen to the music and enter the world of the album when you know what it's dealing about. I'm very, very happy that you made it this way, and at the disgusting parts that you can hear during your songs, you can have some scenes of the story coming to your mind and say, okay, so that's the moment where this happens, and that's the moment where this happens, and you've got the movie in your head, and that's exactly what I want when I work like that on an album.
To me, the album has that idea. If you go into the album understanding what the story is, you can almost close your eyes with every single song, and you can picture the story happening in front of you just from listening to the music and listening to the story coming to life on every single track. And I think that's the beauty of the album.
Well, thank you very much. That was my goal, so I'm very happy if I succeeded in it.
Yeah, I think we lost you temporarily, but you're back. Was it difficult for you, knowing that you had this concept in mind and you had this idea for the story? How did you then create the sound to go with that story?
Well, actually, it works together all the time. I mean, Manu is the main writer of the music, and when he comes with a song, that we work on that together, the spirit of the songs, I already have all my episodes of the songs which are ready, and when the songs come up with the spirit of the songs, I'm like, okay, so this song could go with this part because it's exactly the spirit I want, and I will adapt it after that with the lyrics and the important sentences coming at the right part, to push the concept behind the music, and we work like that.
So it's pretty much the way you address with every single record, regardless of the story. You guys have a model that fits, and you stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. We work in parallel. Manu comes with the music, I come with the songs, and then I pick up what music will go with which part of the story. And most of the time, it inspires me a lot. When I hear the music, I say, oh, I could go deeper in this part of the concept, because it makes me think like that and gives me this idea. And on the other side, when I say, Manu, for example, hey, so this song will probably be about blah, blah, blah. He says, oh, but maybe we could have one more very creepy part in the middle to underline what you want to say. And so it works all together, actually.
Yeah, the album had the ability to be very relentless and heavy and brutal, but matching the story dynamic perfectly. Because when the story needed to get a little bit darker, a little bit creepier, the sound on the record changed to match that story. So you guys did a magnificent job collaborating between the music and the storytelling aspect in order to really bring the record to life.
Thank you. But that's what we wanted to do. So if some people have access to that, we are very, very happy.
Did you ever think about releasing a comic strip about the story of the record?
Yeah, I would love that. I don't have the contacts for that. I don't know anyone who could draw it, but I would love to have some comic books about it, or even a short movie or something, because it's very frustrating. For example, when we made the music video for Nails, it's very frustrating to try to bring a whole story in only 3 minutes of a song, because it's very frustrating, because there is so much I want to tell about many parts of the story that it's difficult to stick with only one angle. Well, absolutely, one chapter of the story, and it's pretty frustrating. So we will have to do other video clips, of course.
Yeah, I honestly, when I was listening to the album, I thought, man, this album, if you guys had a little booklet that came with a record with a comic strip of the story of the album, you know, you could print money. People would be buying that stuff.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I have to think about it. Maybe for the next album, or maybe for this one, if we make a re-edition or something. Let's see. It's a fantastic idea. I love to have visuals that can express what I've got in my mind, because at first I'm the only one to have the movie in my mind, and I would like to share it with people.
And it's a great movie. Were there challenges with this album that you didn't face with previous records, or do you feel like this record was pretty straightforward to put together?
Well, I think for me it's the most coherent. With every album, I feel like I'm more and more comfortable doing this kind of work, and I will try to push all the time in the future to stick very close with music and concept at the same time, and push it always further. So yeah, I think it's easier with time. I know exactly what I want, and it's easier for me to work like that.
You also had a lot of guest vocalists, which is nothing new for you guys. You had a lot of guest vocalists on this album. Do you feel like the guest vocalists really add to the storytelling aspect of the record? Because then they can play different characters.
Well, yeah, the thing is that it's always about schizophrenia. So, you know, this giant cliche about several people in one mind, which is totally untrue, of course, and schizophrenia doesn't work like that. But I wouldn't say it was more for the concept than for the family spirit in Benighted. I mean, when we do an album, it's always it symbolizes for us a gathering of a lot of friends working on that, and it's always the occasion to invite very good friends of us, or people that we admire a lot, that means something to us as a musician or singer, or was an influence for us. So that's how we come up with guest vocalists. Of course, it always makes the tracks richer and brings its own identity to every track, which is a very good thing for me, because when I listen to a death metal album, I think nothing is more boring than a whole album that when it ends, you say, oh, it was a very good death metal album, but I couldn't remember a single song of that because it all sounded the same. Yeah, actually, yeah. And you can say, yeah, it was a giant slap in the face, but I can't remember anything. And that bores me. I don't like it when I have this kind of albums in my ears. So I like to say at the end of an album, I want to listen to this song again and this song again, because this one caught me immediately, and this one I would like to hear it another times too, because there was some things that I didn't get, and I want to get into it. And that's what I like in music, and that's what we try to do with our music. It's to make every song easily recognizable and with its own identity in the middle of a very coherent being.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because sometimes I feel like I get a lot of shit for saying what you just said, which is, you know, I listen to an album, I like the album a lot, but at the end of the album, they all sound like the same song. There's no identity to each of the songs. and it all becomes one cluster, one huge song. Some albums, it's fine because if there's a story being told, if there's a concept, you kind of want everything to stay as one. But at the same time, it's an album that you listen to it maybe once or twice and then you walk away from it because it doesn't really have those songs that brings you back to the record. I find it very interesting that you said that because I get a lot of crap when I say that about some records. So I thought that maybe it was just me. I'm not musical inclined to see the little nuances in some of the tracks, and some records just sound all like just one big blob.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's I really feel the same way. I like when I listen to an album to have several tracks that catch my attention and want me to go back afterwards, and not a whole album, because if you listen to a whole album, well, at the end you say, okay, if I want to enjoy it again, I have to listen to the whole album again, maybe. And I don't work like that. I like to have hits in an album that I listen to, even in death metal.
By the way, how did you get Jamie Jasta on the record? Do you have some incriminating photographs of him, or did you blackmail him with something? Like how did you get him on the record?
I think we got so lucky in this story, and I thank Jamie again for that, because I don't know him at all. I'm just a very huge fan of Hatebreed since I think the Under the Knife EP, and when we made the song Implore the Negative, I thought, oh my God, I would need a hardcore singer on this song, because there's such a hardcore spirit in this song. It would be just perfect to have someone with a very different voice from me. And I said, Jamie Jasta would be fantastic doing the task. But I heard from a fan, once a fan brought me, hey, Julien, did you see Jamie Jasta talked about Benighted in his podcast? And he talked about your Leatherface music video. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So at least he knows us and maybe he likes us. And I know also that he tours with a lot of extreme metal bands like Dying Fetus and Amaranthe. So I just took the shot, and I wrote to a guy in Nuclear Blast called Marcus Jacob. And Marcus wrote me. Marcus really loves Benighted. He told me, oh, I would love to see this collaboration happen. But Julien, Jamie is one of the busiest person I know, so he probably won't have an answer, so don't have your expectations too high. I was like, yeah, I imagine, but I said, let's try. At least I will say, if it's no, if it's yes, but at least I will have said I tried. Exactly. And 2 weeks after, I received the mail from Marcus, who told me, well, Julien, Jamie is up to it, so here is in copy. Julien, here is Jamie, Jamie is Julien, and I let you deal together, and that's how it happened.
Wow. I really feel that song. It's one of my favorites of the album. It has such a hardcore, it's still a death metal track, but it has a hardcore underbelly to the sound. And then his vocals on it just like elevate the track. The track becomes like an absolute banger of a track.
Yeah, because he sings a lot on the track. I mean, it's really a true collaboration. It's not just only a small part of the song. It's really the identity on the track is based of both of our vocals answering to each other, and that's what I love when I invite someone on a Benighted track. It's not just to sing 2 or 3 sentences and bye-bye. It's really to make the song, to adapt the song like if there were 2 vocalists who have to handle it, and that's the way we do it.
When I was listening to that song, and forgive me for what I'm going to say, okay? Like, don't be mad at me. Forgive me for what I'm going to say. When I was listening to that song, that song to me sounded a death metal hardcore version of Back to the Primitive from Soulfly. It had a little bit of that song, but then just like turned to 211.
Yeah, because of the tribal spirit also, yeah. I think. Yeah, sure, yeah. No, yeah. I understand what you.
I just felt that way listening to it. So now the album is out, April 10th on Season of Mist. The album came out. What are you guys going to do now in order to continue promoting and push the record forward? Because, well, you can't tour right now. You can't do any live shows. So what do you guys have in mind in order to stay busy and make sure as many people listen to the record as possible?
Well, for now, we can only do the internet promotion of the album, as everything is cancelled so far. We had a huge tour, but I would be in the middle of the tour right now. So instead of that, I was in my bed with fever, which was way better.
Way worse.
Best way to release an album. And, I think we'll just wait for the lockdown to be over, and we are already preparing a lot of shows from September, but we know there is a risk that everything is cancelled again. So we can just plan to as much as we can in the following months and see what we can do, what will be cancelled. And for now, it's all that we can do. Promote the album on the internet and wait for concerts to be back. But I'm afraid we will have to wait a long time before going on stage again.
Yeah, this is a very difficult time for musicians without the ability to go on the road, to really play shows, to do anything live, because that's obviously a huge source of income. Do you feel that perhaps this is going to change a little bit how musicians earn their money or how they promote their music? Do you think the music industry is going to change because of this, or you think that once this is over, everything is just going to go back to the way it used to be?
Well, I hope it will go back to the way it used to be. But I already saw some bands who try to propose other things like a live show on the internet, and you participate by sending money. You buy like a virtual ticket, and you can see the show and record the show on your computer, something that before no one has done, I think. But I don't know. For me, I really loved the way it was before, so I hope we will go back to this. Because I'm not a huge fan of internet things, and I find it funny. I think for me it's a big plus. But if it becomes the basis of the music business and how we live music and how we share music, I would be very disappointed, because for me music is supposed to be live and to be experienced and to go to the concerts and festivals, and I would be very disappointed if internet is taking over the real shows.
I agree with you. I think music has to be consumed live. There's nothing like going to a live show and interacting with the band, and for you guys to interact with the fans. Nothing can take that away. You can make all the internet shows that you want, but that experience of meeting people at a show, walking into the show, buying the merch, going to the front, crowd surfing, moshing, all of that stuff, nothing can take that away. So I really hope that this doesn't become the norm, and eventually we'll be able to go back to how things used to be.
I hope so too. Really, really.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck with the album. I find this album magnificent. It was such a delight to listen to this record and have a little bit of a glimpse of the craziness that goes inside your brain when you put these records together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pedro.
And best of luck with your job, and stay healthy and stay safe. I know you're still not 100%, but going back to work is what you need to do. But try to stay as safe as possible and put this COVID thing behind you. And once again, thank you for all your work and everything that you do for everybody.
Thank you. I will do my best. If I don't feel 100% able to take care of my patients, I will just go back home and tell my boss I was not ready yet to work again, because I don't want to put the patient's health in danger because I want to play cowboy or something like that. I will be very reasonable and listen to my own limits. If I don't feel I'm doing a safe job, I will just say, okay, it was too early. I go back home, and that's all.
Well, stay safe out there. Thank you very much for taking the time today to chat with me about the record.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you very much for this interview. It's a pleasure, man.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.